Hello everybody. In this video, I would like us to look at Plumes taxonomy. My name is Dr. Kibet from the Center for Open Distance and E-Learning, Machakos University. What is Bloom's taxonomy? Bloom taxonomy is a classification system used to define and distinguish different levels of human cognition. That is, thinking, learning, and understanding. Bloom taxonomy attempts to classify learning stages from remembering facts to creating new ideas based on the acquired knowledge. The idea of Bloom taxonomy is that learning is a consecutive process. Before applying a concept in real life, we must understand it. Before we understand a concept, we must remember the key facts related to it. Therefore, although initially described as a framework, it is now often depicted as a pyramid. Let's look at the original Bloom's taxonomy. The original taxonomy was first introduced by the American educational psychologist Benjamin Bloom and his co-authors Max Eaglehart, Edward Faust, Walter Hill, and David Gradwell in 1956 in their book Taxonomy of Educational Objectives. Their book classifies learning goals, and their goal was to provide teachers with a common vocabulary to discuss curricular and evaluation problems with greater precision. The taxonomy of educational objectives was supposed to help teachers speak the same language and thus facilitate the exchange of information about their curricular development and evaluation devices. Though it was designed primarily for college professors, it finally became popular among educators of all levels. The basis of the pyramid is knowledge, the first level of learning. Above it lies comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Each level above builds upon one below. So you can only move up the pyramid one step at a time. That is the original Bloom's taxonomy. When you look at these two pyramids, which actually shows the old and the revised pyramid. So I want us to start with this. This is the original, the initial pyramid proposed in 1956, which had knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. We have the revised one, which actually begins with remember, understanding, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Now, in this following slide, I want us to look at the revised Bloom's taxonomy. To provide learners with clearer instructional goals, a group of researchers led by Bloom's colleague David Gradwell and one of his students, Lorraine Anderson, revised the taxonomy in the year 2001. And in the revised taxonomy, we have the following levels. 1, remember. This stage of learning is about memorizing basic facts, dates, events, persons, places, concepts, and patterns. At this level, educators might ask learners simple questions like recognizing. We also have recognizing, which actually means locating knowledge in long-term memory related to presented material, that is, recognizing the dates of important historical events, and recalling, which is retrieving knowledge from long-term memory. That is to say, for example, recalling the dates of important historical events. That is the first one at the base of the pyramid. Number 2, understand. At this point, the learners might be asked to explain a concept in their own words, describe a mathematical graph, or clarify a metaphor. The process associated with understanding are: 1. Interpreting implies changing from one form or representation to another. It might be transforming numerical information into verbal. Exemplifying is finding a specific illustration of a concept or principle. It may be given several examples of supremacist paintings. Classifying. Classifying is determining a category of something. An example is the classification of mental disorders. Summarizing means retrieving a general theme of significant points. For example, writing a short summary of a story. Inferring is drawing a logical conclusion from given information. It may be formulating grammatical principles of a foreign language from the presented examples. Comparing. Comparing is finding correspondences between two ideas or objects. For example, comparing historical events to their contemporary analogs. And lastly, explaining. Explaining is constructing a cause and effect model of system. For example, explain the causes of French Revolution. Those are the aspects to be discussed under understand. Number 3 is apply. The processes of cognition corresponding to this stage are: 1. Executing. Executing is applying a procedure to a familiar task. For example, calculating the root of a number. Implementing. Implementing is about applying a procedure to an unfamiliar task. For example, using Newton's second law in a new situation. Number 4 is analyze. The 3 particular processes associated with this stage are: differentiating. Differentiating means distinguishing importance from unimportant parts of presented material. For example, distinguishing between relevant and irrelevant numbers in a mathematical word problem. Organizing. Organizing involves identifying how elements fit or function within a structure. For example, finding the hypothesis, method, data, and conclusion in a research report. And finally, attributing, which means determining a point of view, bias, values, or intent underlying presented material. An example would be to identify the author's point of view of an essay. The fifth one is evaluate. In this stage, learners are expected to use their knowledge and skills to appraise a situation, justify their stand, or criticize others' opinions. They should be able to point out logical fallacies, inaccuracies, or compare work to the highest standards in the field. Evaluating is divided into checking and critiquing. What is checking? Checking means detecting inconsistencies or fallacies in a process or a product. For example, it's determining if a scientist's conclusions follow from observed data. Critiquing. Critiquing involves finding inconsistencies between a product and external criteria. For instance, it's judging which of the 2 methods is the best for solving a problem. And finally, on the apex of the pyramid is create. This is the most complex stage of the learning process and the top of the revised Bloom's taxonomy. At this level, learners combine known patterns, ideas, and facts to create original work or formulate their solution to a problem. The three associated cognitive processes of this includes 1. Generating. Generating involves coming up with alternative hypotheses based on criteria. An example might be devising multiple solutions for a social problem. Planning. Planning is about coming up with a procedure for completing a task, for example, preparing an outline of an article. And finally, producing means inventing a product, for example, writing a short story that takes place during the American Revolution. And that is the last stage, the last level of the revised Bloom's taxonomy. So that marks the end of our presentation today, where we have discussed about Bloom's taxonomy. If you like my video, kindly subscribe. You can like or even share with a friend. Thank you.